Hi guys, it's Seb here. Are you thinking of playing a monk in D&D 5th edition? Today we're heading over to the D&D 5e Wikidot to check out Matt Mercer's homebrew subclass, the Cobalt Soul monk. When you hit 3rd level as a monk in 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons, you get to choose one of many different traditions. There are many flavors for the monk, including a monastic, meditative martial artist that focuses on open hand techniques, a drunken master that sways around pretending he's an alcoholic, and even a Dragon Ball Z inspired radiant bolt shooting sun monk. What about a monk that believes that knowledge is power in all facets of life? That is where the Cobalt Soul monk comes in. Now before we go any further, I want to stop you right there. If you're thinking, why does a monk follow the way of the kobold? Those little wannabe draconic level 1 encounter creatures, really? Well, don't worry, it's not a kobold monk, it's a cobalt monk. Kobolds don't have anything to do with knowledge, but cobalt, on the other hand, also has nothing to do with knowledge. It's a chemical element that is used in the manufacture of pottery and roof tiles, and is also needed for the body to produce vitamin B12 apparently. I guess every monk needs a balanced diet, and vitamin B12 can be turned into raw ki power. Anyway, enough about the name, let's hear about the actual subclass. This is quoted directly from the DnD Wikidot. The Cobalt monk is described like this: driven by the pursuit of knowledge, the archives of the Cobalt Soul stand as some of the most well-respected and most heavily guarded repositories of tomes, history, and information across the world. Here, young people seeking the clarity of truth and the strength of knowledge pledge to learn the arts of seeking enlightenment by understanding the world around them and mastering the techniques to defend it. To become a Cobalt Soul is to give oneself to the quest of unveiling life's mysteries, bringing light to the secrets of the dark and guarding the most powerful and dangerous of truths from those who would seek to preserve the sanctity of civilization. The monk of the Cobalt Soul are the embodiment of the phrase, know your enemy. Through research, they prepare themselves against the ever-coming tides of evil. Through careful training, they have learned to puncture and manipulate the spiritual flow of an opponent's body. Through understanding the secrets of their foe, they can adapt and surmount them. Then, once the fight is done, they return to record their findings for future generations of monks to study from. Could the monks not have made a full list of all of these different vulnerabilities and weaknesses and just given that pamphlet to like the other monks so they don't have to spend a key point and whack something to learn about it? But anyway, so basically they're a walking monster manual stat block entry. There's a little Cobalt Soul in every DM. Let's look at the class features. The first one is Mystical Erudition at 3rd level. Mystical Erudition. Upon choosing this tradition at 3rd level, you've undergone extensive training with the Cobalt Soul, teaching you extensively in history or lore from the monastery's collected volumes. You learn one language of your choice, and you choose one skill from the following list to gain proficiency in: Arcana, History, Nature, and Religion. You gain additional language and an additional skill proficiency from the above list at 11th and 17th level. If you already have proficiency in one of the listed skills at 11th or 17th level, you can instead choose to double your proficiency bonus for any ability check that you make that uses the chosen proficiency. Okay, this makes good sense. You read lots of books as a Cobalt Soul monk, so you've picked up an extra language from your studies. As for the skill proficiency, you seem to have also specialized in a particular area of study, whether it be magic or nature. As you evolve your abilities, you learn more. Lots of light reading between long rests. And the other class feature you gain is Extract Aspects. Beginning at 3rd level, when choosing this tradition, you can strike multiple pressure points to extract crucial information about your foe. Whenever you hit a single creature with one of the attacks granted by your flurry of blows, you learn the creature's damage vulnerabilities, damage resistances, damage immunities, and condition immunities. Once you use this feature, you must finish a short or long rest before you can use it again. Upon reaching 6th level, you can use this feature twice between rests, and beginning at 17th level, you can use it 3 times between rests. When you finish a short or long rest, you regain your expended uses. This can come in kinda handy. Although damage vulnerabilities are actually really rare, the condition immunities can be very useful against certain foes, particularly at higher levels when a lot of creatures start to become immune to game-changing conditions like frightened and charmed. Knowing that it's not immune to being frightened or charmed at higher levels can really tip the tide of the battle in your favor. It can completely take a creature out of the fight. Still, the ability does come off as slightly video gamey. Let's compare this to 2 other popular monk tradition choices then, shall we? Again, I'm sourcing this from DnD 5e Wikidot, so forgive me if these are not entirely up to date. Way of the Kensei tradition gains Kensei weapons that allows the monk to pick a ranged weapon and a melee weapon and turn them into Kensei weapons, which are boosted at later levels. They can also gain +2 AC from using the weapon, which is basically a free shield, and Kensei shot, which adds a d4 damage onto ranged attacks using a bonus action, and also Way of the Brush, which makes you proficient in calligraphers or painter's supplies. Very artistic. And then there is Way of the Open Hand, which gets a simple array of abilities for flurry of blows which require key. You can have them make a dex save to be knocked prone, a strength save to be pushed back 15 feet, or you knock the reaction out of them. So far, I think the Cobalt Soul has actually fallen behind. Sure, you gain an extra skill proficiency and a language, but that language is very circumstantial, and the skill is nice but not amazing. Neither are obviously combat orientated abilities, but when push comes to shove, having proficiency in nature isn't going to save you when that mind flare comes to suck your monk's brains out. Knowing a creature's weaknesses and resistances and condition immunities can be useful, but not really. It's going to be obvious most of the time that a fire creature is immune to fire, an ice creature is resistant to cold, and so on. And after making one of these attacks, you're going to realize that the attack was resistant, hopefully, unless your DM somehow wants to keep that information from you. So was it really worth using that ability to learn that knowledge when you could have done something else, like, I don't know, punch them in the face and done extra damage? Also, it costs a key because you need to use Flurry of Blows, and you can only do it once per rest at the moment. The knowledge of the condition immunity is the only really useful ability here, and is way better at higher levels than now. Next is Extort Truth. At 6th level, you can hit a series of hidden nerves on a creature with precision, temporarily causing them to be unable to mask their true thoughts and intent. If you manage to hit a single creature with 2 or more attacks in one round, you can spend 1 key point to force them to make a charisma saving throw. You can choose to have these attacks deal no damage. On a failed save, the creature is unable to speak a deliberate lie for 1 minute, and all charisma checks directed at the creature are made with advantage for the duration. You know if they succeeded or failed on their saving throw. An affected creature is aware of the effect, and can thus avoid answering questions to which you would normally respond with a lie. Such a creature can be evasive in its answers, as long as the effect lasts. Okay, this ability doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. I guess it's made for interrogating your enemy. Most of the time, if you're punching someone in the face, they're not looking to parley with you for the next minute. Also, the fact that the attacks do no damage doesn't really align properly with DnD 5e's rules, as attacks are resolved sequentially, and the damage should be done and applied before your next attack. I mean, what if you just hit them with a Vorpal sword and cut their head off with your first attack? What if you plan to use the ability and declare no damage before your first attack, so you make sure you don't cut his head off, and then your second and third attacks miss? Are you going to go back and resolve the first attack again now? It doesn't make any sense, and personally, this could have been designed much easier by just allowing the monk to cast Zone of Truth once per day or something. And there's another ability at 6th level, Preternatural Counter. Beginning at 6th level, your quick mind and study of your foe allows you to use their failure to your advantage. If a creature misses you with an attack, you can immediately use your reaction to make a melee attack against that creature. The counter ability is straightforward and great. I've got nothing more to add to that. Let's compare 6th level monk ability to other popular monk path choices. We'll stick with Open Hand and Kensei. Kensei gets one with the blade. The weapon becomes magical, which is really nice. You don't need to worry about buying a magic weapon. And Death Strike. You basically pump up your attack with extra damage, equal to your martial arts die at the cost of 1 key point. Again, they're both combat abilities, but they have so much more potential for use than slapping the truth out of someone. An open hand gets wholeness of body. You can regain hit points equal to 3 times your monk level. That's alright. At this level, you're getting an 18 hit point heal once per day. It goes up and scales with level. But I think Kensei wins here at 6th level. Next, at level 11, we have, for the way of the Cobalt Soul monk, Mind of Mercury. Starting at 11th level, you've honed your awareness and reflexes through mental aptitude and pattern recognition. You can take a number of additional reactions each round equal to your intelligence modifier, minimum of 1, at the cost of 1 key point per reaction beyond the first. You can only use 1 reaction per trigger. In addition, whenever you make an investigation check, you can spend 1 key point to gain advantage on the roll. Alright, I had trouble reading that first ability. What, lol? Okay, this ability is really cool, but intelligence mod for number of reactions. Monks don't use intelligence. Are you really going to make your character from scratch with high intelligence just for this ability? At level 11? Wouldn't those ability scores just be better off thrown on wisdom? Now, if this was wisdom, it would make great sense. But intelligence makes this ability almost useless. Also, the wording hurts my head. I can't even understand it. It would have been way better to simply just give the monk the reactive trait instead of this tongue twister. Again, advantage on investigation, not great considering monks don't use intelligence. Perception checks would have been great. Oh well, let's compare this again. Kensei gets Sharpen the Blade. This ability rocks. You can use 1 to 3 key points and touch your weapon, and that weapon gains a bonus to attack and damage for the next round, equal to the amount of key you've spent. You can turn that sweet +2 longbow into a +5 murder machine. And Open Hand gets Tranquility. Yeah, this ability lets you cast a level 1 spell, Sanctuary, which goes away as soon as you attack. Awesome. Looks like Kensei wins again in my opinion. But what do you think so far? Do you think Cobalt Soul is being underrated here? Let me know in the comments below what you think. And if you've played as a Cobalt Soul monk, what is your favorite moment using one of these abilities? Finally, we have our level 17 ability, Debilitating Barrage. Upon reaching 17th level, you've gained the knowledge to temporarily lower a creature's fortitude by striking a series of pressure points. Whenever you hit a single creature with 3 or more attacks in one round, you can spend 3 key points to cause the creature to suffer a vulnerability to a damage type of your choice for 1 minute, or until after they take any damage of that type. Creatures with resistance or immunity to the chosen damage type do not suffer vulnerability. Instead, their resistance to the chosen damage type is lost for the duration, or their immunity is reduced to resistance for the duration. Okay, again, I'm not really a big fan of this 1 or more or 2 more attacks in one round. It doesn't really make sense to go with D&D 5th edition rules. There are so many different variations of attacks. I don't even want to get into it, but I understand it. And after all of these semi-non-combat abilities, this one is just going straight in for the kill. And it's insane. Giving a creature vulnerability for 1 minute is insane. Your characters are probably already dishing 150 damage per round or more, and you've just turned that into 300 if you play your cards right. If you use this ability on the BBEG, you can kiss them goodbye by the end of the next round. It might even be a little bit OP, and I'm worried. Maybe give it a save? Let's compare it to other abilities first, before we make any decisions. Let's check out other popular monk paths at this level. The Kensei gets to reroll an attack once per turn if they miss, which is sweet, but it won't allow the party to deal an extra 300 points of damage, sweet. And Open Hand gets an amazing ability which is sort of similar, and I can see how it had inspired Matt Mercer to create this other debilitating barrage. And the Open Hand gets Quivering Palm. It sets up lethal vibrations in someone's body by using 3 key points. And then you can use your action to give them a con save on your next turn, or whenever you want, which drops them to 0 hit points on a failure or deals 10d10 necrotic damage on a success. Insane. This really feels like a level 17 ability. Okay, all in all, I think Cobalt Monk actually wins this round, and it's the first round, but is it worth waiting to get to level 17 to have your monk path finally pay off, and you've actually just become the BBEG killing machine? Well, what do you think? So there we have it. We've taken a look at the way of the Cobalt Soul Monk that I found on DnD 5e Wikidot. It's a hard sell for me, but if you can get to level 17, you've pretty much got a guarantee that any major enemy is going to have a bad day if you can work with your party to stack a particular damage type. Let me know in the comments what you think of this path. Would you stick around to level 17 for the killer ability towards the end of a lengthy campaign? Or perhaps you're more into role-playing at lower levels, or you think the extra language might come in handy, perhaps some diplomacy. Also, what about the wording of the abilities? Does it make sense to you, or is it just me? How would you word it? Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to hit that big red subscribe button below if you enjoyed the video. I make at least one D&D related video every week and stream 4 other days a week. Let me know if you want to see more of this type of video as well in the comments below. Thank you all for watching. I'm Seb, and I'll see you soon.